Buying and selling a home at the same time. How does the whole process work? Well, let's talk about it and take a look and see what we can figure out. First, let me say this is something that happens all the time and it's very normal, so there's no need for you to stress out or worry about it. Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, or moving across states, if you're a current homeowner, you're going to have to deal with this situation. And the two major concerns that most people have are these. One, I don't want to be paying two different mortgages at the same time. And two, I do not want to be homeless for any period of time. So let's address these two questions first, and then I'll share with you the process that I went through when I had to buy and sell at the same time. And it's also the process that I suggest to any of my clients who are thinking about buying and selling at the same time. So to address the first question of I do not want to be paying two different mortgages at the same time, it is right there in the contract when you're purchasing a property. All that we have to do is note that the purchase of the new home is contingent upon the sale of your existing home. And there you have it. You're covered. When it comes to not spending any time without a home, this really is a timing issue. So we need to understand the markets that we're operating in. We need to know how long it takes to sell a home in your current market where you're trying to sell. And we need to know how long it takes to buy a home in the market that you're trying to purchase a property in. And whether it's a seller's market, a buyer's market, or a neutral market. And you should be relying on this information, obviously, on your real estate agent. So now, let's take a look at how the whole process works. Here's what my wife and I did. The first thing we did was get a pre-approval for a loan, just in case things moved a little bit faster than expected. That way we could pull the trigger on a property that we liked as fast as possible. The next thing we did was we listed our home for sale and started looking for properties, right? And we made a list of properties that we liked and identified that could possibly fit our needs. But we did not make an offer on any of those properties until we had a contract in our existing home. And the reason for that is you can get yourself in a lot of trouble if you do this, especially since the purchase of the new property is contingent upon the sale of your existing home. And a lot of times sellers won't even take you seriously if you're trying to put in an offer without a contract on your current home. So once we had a contract on our current home, that's when we started putting in offers on the properties that we had identified and started working through the negotiation process. The next thing that we had to figure out were the closing dates, and we had a couple of options. One of the options was to either close on 2 different days, or we could have had both closings on the same day, as long as the closing of the home that we were selling came before the closing of the home that we were buying. Again, the reason for that is to make sure there's enough money in the bank to purchase the property. Now, once you get to this point and you have the contracts figured out and you have the closing dates in place, then it becomes a very normal and traditional transaction. You have to go through your home inspections, your attorney review periods, appraisals, and so on. Unfortunately, we do not live in a perfect world, so things will come up, there will be curveballs thrown at us, and if there are any delays or holdups or challenges that arise, it is extremely important for all the parties involved, clients, real estate attorneys, real estate brokers, to be constantly communicating with each other and working together through these issues and be on the same page. Because when you're dealing with multiple entities, multiple properties, one little thing can set off a chain reaction and create a ripple effect where it impacts so many other things. And if you're not on the same page, then a lot of things can slip through the cracks. So constantly communicating and being in contact with each other will 99% of the time help you resolve and work through these issues. Okay? So once you go through all the normal stuff, right? The inspection, appraisals, etc. Then there comes the transition period, which is A lot of times we don't even think about the transition period until we have to deal with it. And one thing that my wife and I did that really helped with the whole move was in the contract of our home that we were selling, we put in there that we wanted to rent our home for an additional 7 days after we closed on it from the new homeowners. And the reason why we did this is because we're making a pretty major move, right? And we're already under enough stress and pressure. We did not want to have to deal with anything else when it comes to the transition. We wanted to make sure we had enough time to organize everything and move our stuff from the old place to the new place, right? And this is, again, it is something that does happen. All you have to do is negotiate a daily rate so that you can accommodate the new owners for that 7 days. And again, it doesn't have to be 7 days. It really depends on the move you're making. It may be a move across town, so you maybe only need 2 days or 3 days. Whatever the case may be, that's something that you're going to have to figure out on your own. Now, I understand that there's a lot of things being said here that I'm trying to cram in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes. And it's a lot to take in, and it can get a little confusing. I totally understand. That's why don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to ask questions. The major takeaways about buying and selling at the same time are these. 1, make sure that everything that matters to you is clearly and explicitly stated in the contracts. 2, make sure that you got the timing right, that it works out according to what you're trying to accomplish and achieve. And 3, make sure that everyone is on the same page and communicating constantly and staying in contact with all the parties that have to make these decisions. Thank you for joining me today. Please feel free to drop a comment below. And if you enjoyed this content and found it valuable and beneficial, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Real Estate and Beyond.